Hi Connelly Clan fam! Today we are going to do what everybody has been asking for, and we're going to give you another baby update and let you know what's going on with our Texas house. First, let's start with the baby update. So Logan is now 3 months old, and it has been like a long process, I feel like. Actually, longer than with Christian, and maybe it was about the same time frame, I guess. But I guess it feels like it's been taking so much longer, especially when we knew kind of that he was coming. With Christian, we didn't know 100% that he was coming, and we kind of knew it was coming, and we were able to prepare and let people know, and I just kind of felt like we were ahead of the game, and like it did not work out that way at all. So we've talked before about how we had to do an ICPC, and the ICPC is, let me see, what is it? The Interstate Compact for the Placement of Children. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. And so anyways, with that ICPC, it allows the kids to cross state lines, and you have to have all this paperwork done before that can happen. And so what we did was we took him and did a visit. So when you have an ICPC that you're working on, the sending state, so Iowa would be the sending state, can decide if you can do a visit. Right. And so we did a 30-day visit. Well, at the end of that 30 days, the ICPC was still not done, and we thought maybe it would be done by then, because sometimes I've heard Iowa and Nebraska work so fast that it can take like only 2 weeks. So at the end of the 30 days, we ended up having to, so you're supposed to take the child back after 30 days to the sending state, and he was supposed to go stay with the foster parents that he was with before us, right? Like that we went and picked him up from, for at least 24 hours. And so we got permission from the foster parents and the caseworker to go stay the night in Council Bluffs, which is like a 30-minute drive from our house, right? Because we're right on the border. And so we ended up having to go stay the night in Iowa for that 24 hours. I mean, we were lucky that we were able to just drive the 30 minutes and not the 5 hours. Yeah, and that back. Worked out pretty good. Yeah. So so by doing that, that reset the visit time, and we were able to do another 30 days. So the takeaway from this for you guys thinking about going through this process is always expect it to be drawn out, take twice as long as you're thinking, whether it's somebody has told you or you are just calculating it to yourself. It's always the longest, most drawn out thing. Don't expect things to go quick just because you know the sequence and how it works. And here we are, this is number 11 for us. And the ICPC is number 2, I guess, is all. But at the same time, it is always drawn out. I thought it would go quick. I mean, after doing this for so many years, and after having an ICPC already from Iowa, I just figured it'd go really fast. And that was not the case. So we reset our visit time. We got another 30 days, and all of a sudden, we're getting closer and closer and closer to the end of the second 30 days, and like that was it. That we got 2 30-day visits, and we were done. And in other words, they were going to start looking for another foster home in Iowa for him, because it was getting to a point where we were running out of time, basically, legally. So the ICPC was basically about done. And so we have an ICPC worker here in Nebraska, and he is the same worker that helped us with Christian. So he's familiar with us, we're familiar with him. But I knew he was getting close to being done with it. But what happened was Iowa and Nebraska was not necessarily aware of this. Iowa wanted us to be licensed foster parents.
Right.
And so Nebraska was going to license us in one way, but Iowa wanted us licensed in a different way. And so we ended up having to we had to take training classes. We had to have our health information reports filled out by a doctor, and there was like
fingerprinted.
They
do a background check and fingerprints just to make sure nothing has come up since your last one.
And we had already we did those. They just took like 5 weeks to come back.
Right.
And so it has just been. I feel like it's just been so crazy. So then at the very last minute, like within the last week, we were rushing around trying to get the doctor to sign off on our health forms, trying to get the training done. I mean, we sat there and then did it for like 2 days straight. And then we had to have, actually the last thing then was we had to have somebody from Nebraska, the licensing person, come and do a walkthrough of our house to make sure that our house was okay. Like we had all of our medicine locked up, that we had, all those things that you have to
enough space.
Follow as foster parents.
Right.
They had to come and then just double check our house, which really, thank God that our license, we just let our license go. And so because of that, our house was already set up.
Yeah.
And so it was not that big of a deal. It's just, and she was so awesome. She came out on a weekend because she knew we were under a crunch. And so that was so nice of her. I felt like that she did that for us.
Yeah, and the other thing that's nice about the classes are, they're very realistic because they have online courses you can take. So it's not like you have to get a babysitter to watch the 11 kids while you go out and spend 3 hours, 4 days a week to take your classes. You can do them online, which is nice.
That's so true. And we were able to do that. So they just have you take them online and then you take a test to make sure that you're retaining the information. And so that, I felt like that was good that we could do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it wasn't a huge deal. It just was a lot of time, a lot of hours.
Yeah.
So there for a while, we thought we were going to lose Logan. We thought we were going to have to send him back to Iowa to a foster home. They were talking, like you said, about finding a foster parent to take him. And they were not going to be able to send him back to the previous foster home. So that would have just been like another placement for him he would have had to have. And all this, we've been doing all this bonding with him. And then to have him go back, we were really worried that he was going to have to go back. But Nebraska came through, and Iowa and Nebraska worked so well together, and we all worked together, and we all got it to happen. And so the next step, so now he is officially placed with us.
Yay.
It is, and yay, no longer a visit.
It's actually a big deal to try and get to this point.
Yes, it's huge, I feel like. So we had court. So we had his adjudication hearing. He is officially placed. And now the next thing is what's called a disposition hearing. That is sometime at the end of September that we were having. And I'm actually not even 100% sure what the disposition hearing, what they do at that. I just know it goes, next is disposition, after that is a permanency hearing, and then after that would be like a termination hearing. So we've got a lot of things in between here that are still have to happen. Yeah. But I feel like we jumped over that first hurdle and we are like finally on our way towards getting to the adoption point, which is where we know we're going to end up. It just takes forever. And
it does. And then, really on paper, what it was Logan, we call him Logan. Was basically just visiting our house like a slumber party for 3 months, And you start thinking about that. It's like, man, we are so bonded with him, and the kids are so bonded with him. Yeah. It starts to worry you.
Yeah, it does.
So we're very happy that he's had placement and everything's happening.
Yes, finally. So he's officially placed here. And that means that he will not leave. He's not moving anywhere. One last thing about Logan is I have been taking videos of him and doing the things that he's doing, and he just just giggled and laughed for the first time. It's been maybe about a week or two ago, and I got that on film. And so I'm saving all those things so that way when we can finally do a reveal, a face reveal for him, we have all that saved up so we can show you guys that. We'll do a flashback video and show you guys all the fun things that have been going on, why we can't show him. And it stinks because we really want to be able to share them with everybody, but unfortunately we just can't. Next thing is Texas. So we have been going back and forth about, do we go to Texas? We had a visit planned, like a little vacation planned to go to Texas, and then all of this started happening, and we didn't know if we were going to get the placement in time, and so then we kind of postponed the trip. And we actually would have left already. Right. And so now that we know he's officially placed, we're talking about, do we go? When do we go? What does that look like? And so really I think it's because it's such a long drive. It's, 17 hours. Yeah. And we're trying to figure out what that looks like when we get there. It's been what, like 100 degrees every day there for the last 3 months, I think.
Yeah, no rain.
Yeah, no rain.
They are really hurting down there. When we left, there was a burn ban. Yeah. And I don't know, I think it had started a while before we even purchased the property or were looking at it originally, because I remember hearing about the burn ban then. Yeah. So it is so extremely dry. Even a spark I worry about would spread like crazy. And we've had some things happening as far as that end of our life. We've got some neighbors that we've decided to let run cattle on our ground that we have. And he has had to put up a electric fence kind of in the rear part through the trees. I'm sure some of you guys have seen those videos. It gets real thick and it's difficult to get through there. Yeah. Especially when you're trying to hit a property line. So he's done the work, and we've had him running his cattle, which I feel is a great thing. They are so strapped for grass for their cattle down there, and some of them, it's their livelihood. It's how they feed their kids. So we had him go ahead and do that, which we're glad we did, but I know it would be nice to get down there and see how things are being run. They're running our waterers and things like that. We've had some problems with some of the lines. And if you're familiar with wells, those motors can burn out if they're left on too long. So if there's any kind of glitch in the water system, you can be in for some hefty,
Yeah, and there was a little glitch, and it had ran for like 3 days straight. Yep, and luckily we caught it. Yeah. Between
him and I, we caught it real quick. I think it was 3 days, and we had the problem fixed, but it was running up our bill. It was, using up our well water.
And we're happy that we were able to do that. So there, our grass was growing like crazy, and we were worried about like, what are we going to do? And we're not there to mow, and we're not, and we knew it was getting long, and it was long when we left. Especially in the back where it's all fenced off, we just let that go.
Yeah, it was at least 1.5 feet high. Yeah. So it's nice to get the cattle in there and
eat it down.
So that we don't have a problem with the weeds too as much.
Yep. So it I feel like it just kind of worked out. They needed it. We had it, and we weren't using it, and so. But it does make it interesting to think about visiting and having the cattle running there, and then.
That is what the rancher was doing before. He has a pretty big yard fenced off.
Yes, we do.
There, you guys probably know that. But at least we can just pull our van into our yard if we had to, close the gate, and the kids don't have to worry about the cattle. But I really don't think we're going to have to worry about the cattle.
No, I don't think so.
They're in, hundreds of acres, not just our 10.
No, right, the 2 lots next to us, which is 26, and then 27 was like, I don't even know, like 80 acres. Yeah. So they're using all of that whole thing. So we're just trying to decide, like, do we go? Do we go now? Do we wait? Do we go in September? And, we have to, like, when we plan a trip like that's so far away, we have to plan things like getting the kids' meds, and we have to plan around doctor's appointments. And we're also planning around we have monthly visits with our ICPC worker. And So there's like all these things that we have to consider when we plan a trip. And you don't want to just go down when it's that far. We don't want to just go down for a week or two, and then have to turn around and drive another 17 hours. We want to like make the best of it and get as much time there as we possibly can. And so I think like 6 or 7 weeks is probably about the most we could go.
Yeah, and the least amount we could go is probably a month, because it makes no sense to pile all of us in, our chickens, our dogs, 11
the chickens
kids,
too. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And 2 adults, and get down there and turn around in 2 weeks. Otherwise, we would probably do it a lot more often. But the other reason why I think it'd be nice to go down now is, we are thinking about moving there permanently.
Yeah.
And this drought and the heat down there is abnormal, but it's not as abnormal as you might think. I mean, the heat is intense. And it might be good to go down and get a feel for what that's like with the kids, with the dogs. We're so used to just sending the dogs out in the yard and letting them play all day.
Yeah.
They're going to have to be inside most of the time. The kids are probably not going to want to be outside. So it'd be a good test for our family to see how we dealt with that heat, and how our house performs as far as the air conditioning system and the water. And
it would be good too, I feel like, to just be there and have a presence there and be able to fix up, there's some spots on the siding that need fixed up, and we're always kind of like adding and making our chicken coop better, and just some of those things that are a little bit more fun, I feel like, too.
And the change of scenery, and it does help with the kids, because the kids get very bored here. Even though we have all kinds of things to do, we have family we see. Just making that change to a different place allows them to have kind of I don't know what you'd call it, just a honeymoon.
A mental switch, it's like this. And it is funny because everything is different. It's when we go there, it's different. Like we shop different. We leave at different times than we would here. Like here, we just leave whenever we want because everything's close. There, we plan more. School is different even there. The kids, we usually do things just a little bit different with our schooling. Like literally, our whole life is different there.
It is, and it's nice to change it up.
It really is nice to have that change. So
and the other thing that I know for sure, and we've talked about this, is I love going to the ocean, and Rockport Beach is the closest one to us. It's about 35-40 minutes away, and we go there often. And we know from being there over the last few years in the middle of summer, the water there is so shallow, so far out on that beach in Rockport, that the water becomes like very warm bath water. And it's not refreshing at all. It's not where you want to be on a day that's 90 to 100 degrees. Right. So if we go back, we won't be probably going there more than once, and then we'll probably end up at Padre, which I'm all for, but it is a little bit worrisome when you've got waves that size.
It's different. The kids have to wear their life jackets there. And at Rockport, it's a bay, and so there is no undertow or any of that stuff, and so they can just go out and it's shallow for
it's more like a shallow lake. That goes on forever almost.
And and when you go out to Padre, which it's beautiful there. I mean, that is, I love it there, but it is a little bit more worrisome just with the kids. You have to do things a little different. But and we probably would go there instead, just because who wants to go take a hot bath when it's 100 out?
Yeah, with jellyfish in the bathtub.
Yeah, with jellyfish. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
I think that is it. We're still trying to decide. You may see us take off here soon. We're I know it's funny because we have such a large family, but we can be fairly spontaneous. And so you may see in the next couple of videos that we are in Texas instead, just because that's how we tend to do things. But we'll have to see, I guess.
Yeah.
We're going to, I think, talk about it today and try to make a final decision within the next day or so. And so we will let you guys know when we know, or you may just see we show up there.
Yep.
We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Peace.